Hey guys! Thanks for tuning in to Pop Culture Universe. I'm Alex.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Robert.
This is Pop Review, and we're going to be talking about Solo, a Star Wars story.
Solo.
Solo. That's my Jabba.
He was not in the movie, unfortunately.
No, he was not, actually, and I was hoping that he was.
I'm guessing there's a spoiler review.
Yeah, so let's get that off the bat. So this
Sorry! Oh no! We actually already spoiled it for some Jabba fans out there. No, sorry, he's not in the movie, and also, this is a spoiler review, so...
Yeah, spoiler review,
If you haven't seen it, go away. And then come back.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So where should we start? Should we start with our expectations or general ideas about what... Because I have some feelings.
Well, yeah,
let's
start with expectations going in.
Okay, great.
I think we all said to ourselves, I have a bad feeling about this.
Get it? I personally actually have not been very excited for any new Star Wars film. We've talked about this before. If you're a fan of the channel and if you've been watching what we do, I don't really like what they're doing. Although they've been better. They've been increasingly better, I think, the Star Wars installations. And I am a Star Wars fan, so of course I want to see them do well.
Like, each film feels like A New Hope.
Yeah, and then also like a new disappointment afterwards.
And then a great disappointment, yeah.
But with this particular film, with Solo, when the trailer dropped, first of all, I didn't need this movie. I didn't want this movie. And then the trailer came out, and I thought, this is going to be very fun. And this might actually be different enough and, separated enough from the saga that maybe I'm going to like this. So that was my expectation going in, and I actually had higher hopes than I did going into any other film that we've seen recently for Star Wars.
See, my expectations were so low. So, yeah.
How did I not think of that? That's
I was
genius.
waiting for it, and I was like, if no one's going to take it, I'm going to take it. Especially if anybody, looks on the internet and just knows about the sordid history of the making of this movie, like, that the whole production's been half-baked. So I couldn't help but have low expectations, but, like, hoping to be surprised. And I think the only thing I honestly was surprised by in a positive way was probably the production design, just because everything felt so tactile for once, like, which was great. But then again, the cinematography was so underlit that it kind of like...
It was a little uninspired.
Yeah. I couldn't really see much, I guess.
Well, so your expectations were low. Yeah. Mine were higher than benchmark. What about you?
I was just feeling just okay about it. Like, again, with you, like, if you're watching the reviews of the trailers that we've done, it's a movie that we both said, like, we didn't want, but as long as we're getting it, at least start filling in information that I know the movie was going to address. Like, we know the movie's going to address the Kessel Run and how Han met Chewie, and we'll get into all of that. But with what Robert is saying is true, is that because the movie had so much problems with Lord and Miller getting fired 2 weeks before the movie was supposed to be wrapped, and then Ron Howard stepping in, and the rumor is that he reshot almost 80% of the movie. So, like, I'm curious. We'll never know how the movie would have turned out if A, Lord and Miller finished it, or B, if Ron Howard just started it from the beginning. We're never gonna know. But, like, that was in my mind as sitting down watching the film. Like, wow, did Kristen Miller shoot this? Did Ron shoot this?
Yeah.
Was like that kind of stuff did weigh on me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So going in, I was just like, as long as they hit certain things right for me, then the movie's gonna work. But I wasn't looking, like I said, I wasn't like, yay, Solo. Just like, hey, do the Kessel Run right, do the meeting of Han and Chewie, do the meeting of Han and Lando right, and I would have been happy for the most part. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Well, this is where we differ, because I don't need to know any of that stuff.
Oh, I agree. I didn't need to know that either. But it's like, if we're gonna get the movie, at least tackle that and give me that right, and then let's get out.
If you're gonna greenlit a project like this, which shouldn't have been made in the first place, like, you might as well just like go and just have so much fun with it. And so when they hired Lord and Miller to direct, I was like, oh, perfect. Like, this is gonna be fun. And I guarantee, like, when they reached that one point before they were fired, they're probably like, hey, guess what? We're almost done with this movie. And then Ron Howard said, they weren't. In true Arrested Development fashion.
Well,
Well, Kathleen Kennedy was pretty much, as the stories were going, she was not happy the entire time, and I think...
Neither was Lawrence Kasdan, who kept saying, like, this isn't the script. Yeah, this isn't the script that I've written, and he clearly wanted it to be taken more seriously, and Lord Miller... I think rather smartly looked at this and thought, well, the only way this is going to work is if we just go completely fun and goofy, like Lego Movie style.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
But even then,
I don't know if
that's not
that
the end product
worked.
that we got.
Well, no.
Anyway, so.
Well, no, because they pretty much got rid of all of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I almost wish that they would have maybe gone back to that, like more of a Thor Ragnarok kind of vibe, where it's like poking fun at this whole idea of like, okay, we're out in space. Like, you kind of don't really need to know any of this stuff. Let's have a good time.
Well, I mean, I think they could have... I think Lord and Miller could have probably gotten away with that if they weren't just doing improv. Because that's what they were... That's what almost got them in trouble. Yeah. Is that they weren't... They pretty much just said, all right, let's just shoot it one way, the script way, and then just start improving. And that's where I think that's where... Kathleen Kennedy ran into trouble with them, and Lawrence Kasdan ran into trouble. Like, hey, you guys aren't following the script. You're just doing whatever you want. But if they would approach it where it's like, let's just do it, have more levity to it, and like have a good time with it, I think they might not have gotten in trouble and not gotten fired. And then Ron Howard pretty much had to just come in and save the movie. How much saving, we'll never know. But I would really love to see, like, if Ron Howard's going to do it, just let him do it from the beginning.
Well,
and see what would have happened.
You're not wrong, but also, this goes back to this whole idea of what is the point of this movie?
Yeah.
Like, this is what I keep coming back to after we watched it during the fact. I'm lying in bed at night, last night. I'm like, wait, but why? Honestly, obviously, I know why financially, because, it's like, hey, this could be money for us, and people love Han Solo. Well, that's great. Of course.
They made it for
1/4 portion.
You didn't look ugly enough when you did that.
And you had to slam it down, too.
Oh, yeah.
No, but really, let's examine the big problem that I have with this movie is why. And we love Han Solo. Do we? Yeah. What do we learn about him? What do we really need to know that we don't know about him already? I just want to pause with that question. There's some sub questions there that I want to address.
I mean, for me, I think this is the way they're approaching it. They're looking at what Marvel has done. What Marvel did is they started out with Iron Man, and then they went to Thor and Captain America, and then we got the Avengers, and then they start to slowly move out.
Sure.
And then now that's when you can start doing like Guardians and Ant-Man and things like that. So I think what Star Wars is looking at, I think they have grander plans to expand the universe, but I think they're trying to get us used to the fact that we're not going to only tell episode movies, we're going to start telling stories. So I think they're starting out with things that we know. Like the first movie was Rogue One. We know about the Death Star. Oh, well, do you want to know how they got the plans for the Death Star? Well, let's make a movie about that. That was really interesting.
Or you play Shadows of the Empire and get the same exact story.
True, but I love that game. But and now with Solo, it's like, oh, we don't know a lot about him. There's a lot,
we didn't learn anything more.
Not necessarily, but I think their idea was let's just start with things that you might know, and then they can start telling like things like Old Republic or things like that.
Okay, you misunderstood my question though.
Yeah.
I'm not asking like the producers, hey, why did you make this movie? I'm actually looking at like, if we're in this film, what do we need to know about this character? I'm not talking about like, what do they need to know like franchise wise? What should we do with the franchise? That I'm not interested in that at all, because like you said, it's the Avengers model, and every other franchise is going to follow suit with that. So that's not a surprise to me.
The only way you can do it is almost like you would have to create either like, it would have to be something fun like Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor Ragnarok, or you do a story with a character that's basically a fall from grace. Like maybe he was like a more idealistic, like happier youth, and then he becomes like...
and I thought that's what they were going to do.
That's what I thought they were going to do.
Anything like that would have been better than what we got, which was not. We
should talk about how there is no real arc to Solo.
Because I thought Woody Harrelson's character was what's his name? Beckett was going to really corrupt him. I thought he was going to take him under his wing and really like turn him into the swashbuckling pirate smuggler. Like I thought he was going to really turn him into that, and that really kind of happened, but not. He didn't make as much of a turn as I thought he was going to.
Well, he shot first. Actually a great...
and I thought that's what Beckett's character was going to do, But that didn't happen at all.
Well, that's actually a great just way to say it, is like I kept waiting for this turn, or this, this is who Han Solo is, or this is why Han Solo is, or
that's what I was hoping for.
It's sort of like Drax in Infinity War. Why is Gamora? But
I'll do you one better.
Yeah, exactly. But seriously though, why is Han Solo? It's really, that was something that I really, really wanted to get a little deeper with, and they planted these things, like you said, with Beckett. It's like, okay, is he going to be a pirate? Is he going to follow like the Imperial Army? Like what exactly is happening with his life, and how does he become? We see him with his girlfriend, and then kind of he's not, and it was very it's just one track,
which is odd because
liked some hills,
which is odd because in the first act, like he basically goes through the entire story of Stanley Kubrick's Barry Lyndon, where like he starts off as like like a poor young man who like loves a girl, gets separated, joins an army, and then like ends up in this group of like rebels. Like it's super weird. And I actually how much happens.
I completely missed the subtitle where it says 3 years later. Also,
there was a subtitle there.
Yeah, there was. Right? Yeah.
Because you missed that too.
I missed that too.
I totally missed that. And so,
wow.
Like, and then 3 years
later,
and
then you were like,
I was
how much time
I was like, 3 years. I was like, when are we?
When are we? Like, you must have blinked with that.
I'll tell you one better. Why are we?
Really though, Drax knows what's up.
But it really bothered me because when we meet Han in A New Hope, he is a swashbuckling, like, smuggler. I don't give a crap about what you guys are doing. I'm just here for my money, and that's all I really care about. I don't care about the rebellion. I don't care about the Empire.
And over the course of those 3 films, he has an arc. He actually even though he doesn't want to admit it, he is a little bit involved with the cause of the rebellion.
Yeah, he slowly gets wrapped in it, and he becomes General Solo. But I think in his core, he was always that. It's just that something put him on this path of just not caring, just worrying about himself. Yeah. And I would have loved to see this movie putting him on that path. I would have loved to see that. But it kind of really didn't do that. Yeah. And if all this movie did was put him on that path, I would have been happy. Yeah. Especially seeing the Kessel Run like we saw and Han meeting Chewie, which we'll get to.
That's my point. It would have been nice to see those, Han meeting Chewie, don't really care, but it's great to see that. But ultimately, what we really wanted was to see, how did Han Solo become Han Solo? Yeah. Why is Han Solo? I'm just going to keep coming back to that.
We found out we got his name, which was so disappointing, too. It's just like,
I think that's...
who are your people? Oh, I don't have any people.
So you're Solo?
The only time I've ever been that disappointed in a character's name origin was probably the Super Mario Brothers movie, where, you find out that their last name is Mario because of the Mario brothers. Mario and Luigi Mario.
Oh god.
That was real.
You know what would have been better if they would have said, "Well, what's your name?" And he just said Han. I was like, "Well, you have to have a last name." He's like, "Well, who are your people?" And then he said Solo. Like, "Well, I have nobody, so I guess I'm Solo." Oh, Han Solo. That's much better, guys.
So is he Han Duo? After he gets married to Leia, or I don't know
when
if
he
they ever got
Chewie.
married. But when he meets Chewie, is he Han Duo?
Oh,
that's so dumb. But
I think that was the first thing that was just like, really, guys? Like, that's like...
No, it's...
So either he was called Solo or let him call himself Solo. Don't let some other guy... you're Solo.
And here's the thing. This goes back to what I was saying about things that we don't need to know. Yeah. That's one of those things where... I don't need to know.
Yeah, I never wondered where his last name came from. I just
no
one
ever wondered. Yeah, even if he wasn't, I don't care.
I don't care.
Sure, yeah, he's a smuggler. He's a pirate. It's a made up name. He came up with it. Someone gave it to him.
But I wish he would have came up with it. That's not fine. Some Imperial guard said, you're Solo." It's like some throwaway thing, and that sticks. Like, come on, that for me, that's a little lazy. Let him come up with it himself. Yeah. But
well, you guys probably have some sort of opinion about that as well. I mean, ultimately, and we're probably going to come back to this, that his character, I didn't really feel like I got anything new about it. So, we can move on and we can talk about something else. Like, I actually really want to talk a little bit about Emilia Clarke if we don't have anything to talk about. More, and we'll probably come back to the Solo thing, obviously, because it's his movie. Yeah. But yes, and we will talk about that too. Yeah. But we were wondering if Emilia Clarke can actually act, because
outside of Game of Thrones,
I'm a massive Game of Thrones fan.
Have you guys seen Terminator Genesis?
No. Oh, well, I've seen it, but no.
Terrible.
Well, it's possible that she might have not much to work with.
Well, and plus she admitted herself she didn't have a good time, and almost no one did making that. So
which is funny because
I don't want to put it all on her.
No, true, and it was also one of the directors from Game of Thrones who directed Terminator Genesis. You'd think there would be like a nice like camaraderie there, but like apparently not, because like she phones it in there, and in this one I feel like she's given nothing.
She isn't, and
well, there's this. Okay, so there's this. You spend this entire action sequence in the first part of the movie, like where they're together and then they get separated. And I was like, oh, okay, they're giving him a directive. That's good. That's a good thing to set up for your character. And then
it's always a really interesting trope to like reconnect with a loved one after years.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Find that
We've all
changed. And
who
are you?
That.
Who am I? How are we going to fit together?
Exactly. And so years go by, and the only reason he's joining this smuggler gang and risking his life and all stuff just to get back to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then they happen to show up in the same ship together, and she just stands there like, and it's like,
you look good.
You look good. Yeah, it was just like, do you two actually like each other? It was the most stilted, oddest reunion scene I think I've ever watched.
My impression of a lot of these scenes, and we talked about this I think before you arrived tonight, is it felt like they just cut so much out of it, you know. And it, obviously there's the director change too, but it felt like they really didn't spend enough time with these characters that I really would have liked these relationships to develop a little bit more. And it just felt everything was like cut, like that scene where they come back together. It's like, oh hey, you look good. Oh hey, it's been 3 years, and I'm just like, wait, this is your, and then they move on. But
I think the reason she played it that way is because I think she probably thought she was never going to see him again. Like, I think she, like, because the way, like, obviously we don't know all of what happened to her during those 3 years, but I think she's on a completely different path now, and she's a completely different life and place. I think she thought she was never going to see him again. For her to see him in that circumstance, in that place, she, like, was very taken aback. But, and like, hey, my life is really complicated right now. I do have feelings for you, but I can't really go into all of that. And hey, I'm betrothed, basically.
But there wasn't even like a moment of like her processing it and like pulling herself together, which like
that's what I was just gonna say. Great, I don't think you're not wrong.
Yeah, you're not. That's exactly what's on paper.
That's exactly what they wanted to build, but it didn't really show on screen. Like, you know, and she's a really interesting character, or what, you know, should be a really interesting character because of that. Exactly what you said. Like, I've done these things. We don't know what she's done.
No.
Clearly, she's sort of gone to the dark side in a way, almost very literally in this case. Which I say that, but now we're actually talking about Star Wars.
She was enslaved by Vision.
By Vision, so yeah, who has some skin problems. But
that's what happens after you move the Vision stone. Or which stone is it?
The Soul Stone.
Was it?
No, Mind Stone.
Mind Stone. Yeah.
Oh God, how would
that was a video game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, my point is you're right about what they intended to do. Exactly her backstory, but I would have loved
some kind of execution like of that.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, but
because she is a character that we actually were given 2.5 minutes to like at the beginning of the film. A little bit more would have been nice. And then we see her again, and she's a stranger to us as well. But it would have been nice to see, since we see her at the end, we're aligned with her at the end. Like, oh, here's what she's doing, here's the choice she made. Yeah. It would have been nice to have a little bit more of a through line on that. I don't know, it just felt a little sloppy.
I mean, I can appreciate what she was trying to do. Not only in that scene, what she was able to do. I didn't hate her. I didn't. Her performance was just okay for me. It was not like she was like groundbreaking.
I thought she was fine.
The one that I was really curious about was Aaron. Like, he had a lot to live up to. He's playing Han Solo. He's following Harrison Ford, and there was a lot of talk about them having to hire an acting coach and all this other stuff. I think he did a pretty good job. There was parts where like, yep, that's Solo to me. Like, that's Han to me.
I felt
so. I think he did a great job. Amelia was like, you know,
I thought she did okay.
She didn't ruin it for me. She wasn't Terminator Genesis bad. But she did,
like we talked about, there really wasn't an incredibly emotional scene that she had to work through or parse. Like, you know, we got this backstory of, sure, I did terrible things, and then we kind of move on.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, like, she didn't really have a lot.
Little emotional scenes when they actually got separated, but that was like we saw a little bit of emotion.
But the moments that she did have were okay.
Yeah, I liked her. performance at the end too.
I also really liked her hair, so
Yeah, that was
just throwing that out there.
Her costume looked good.
Yeah, I mean, great costume.
Trying to throw her a bone here.
Yeah,
but she did a good job. She didn't bother me. All right, so let's talk about how Han met Chewie.
Oh.
So while Han was in the Empire, they kind of say he's a deserter, and they throw him in with the Beast. And as soon as I heard the Beast, I turned to you. I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
I turned to my friend. I turned to my friend and said, "They're not really."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Here's Chewie." And they throw him in there, and you hear, and they're like, "Oh boy, here we go." And then they had this little tussle, and the guards think they're gonna kill each other, and Han pretty much explains to him, "Hey, I speak Chewbacca. I know what you're saying." And they try to they get themselves out of it, and then they become friends. Now, in the extended universe, before Disney bought Lucasfilm, in the books, when Han and Chewie met, Han saved Chewie's life, and Chewie's like, "Well, now I'm with you till the end because we have a life debt."
Exactly. The life debt was go knock that pipe down. In this movie, it's hey, go knock that pipe down. I know, even though he's 190 years old and is a clearly very intelligent
and strong.
Wookiee and a very strong Wookiee, he didn't once notice that pipe was loose. I guess, which I guess is just.
I mean, I'll even give him that. Like, that's whatever.
But that's the life debt.
Like, but it could have been that one, or like on the train scene. He was about to fall off. That cliff was about him. He saved him from that.
He held a 500-pound Wookiee.
Yeah. Now all they had to do was mention it once. It's just Chewie came in. What do you mean life debt? Because remember, like
how did it go again?
Life debt. And I'm like, what life debt? Because like when they're in the mines, and then Chewie goes off to save his brethren, why would he come back unless there's a life debt?
Well,
why would he come back?
No, you're right, but once again, they didn't build that moment.
Yeah.
That moment was not, I didn't feel anything. This is supposed to be a huge thing to see on screen, is Chewie and Han. Like, that's how, like, one of the most iconic, like, film
duos,
buddy, like, duos. And we don't, they're like, okay, let's go. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We're buddies now for life.
Wait, it's like,
basically.
wait, give me something. Like, give me something. Some kind of feeling, or I want to feel some. I want to have feelings.
I thought the life debt was going to be something having to do with Life Day.
Well, no, no.
But apparently we're not getting into that.
I mean,
the whole time I was wondering where was Mala and Itchy and Lumpy and all this.
No.
That is canon, goddammit.
No, it is not. They specifically said that's not canon. Like, but they even when they were sitting at the campfire, like, oh, what are you gonna do with the money? Oh, what are you gonna do? Like, Chewie could have told him, like, hey, I can't do anything. I'm indebted to you now. You saved my life. I'm with you till the end. Something like that. Just have that line, and then we understand why they're friends forever now. I mean, if you want to imply it that we know that, you shouldn't, because a lot of people don't know that stuff, because it's not even, as Lucasfilm's telling us, that's not canon anymore.
Even if you don't know, that's the reason you go to movies, not to find out backstories, not to, learn little factoids that you could read on the internet. It's to have an experience. Yeah. It's emotion. Like, that's what we want. Like, sure, you just write it down on a piece of paper and hand me the situation of how Han met Chewie. But I want to feel it, I want to feel that, like, that love, that, like, oh, we're friends forever, yay!
Perfect example. When Han sees the Falcon for the first time, they made sure that was a little bit of a moment. When he stopped and he looked up at the ship, they took time to say, hey, this is the first time he's looking at the Falcon.
Yeah, that was more of a moment than the Chewie thing.
Absolutely. Like, the movie understood that, hey, this is the first time Han's seeing the Falcon. This is a moment. Let's stop and appreciate that. If you're going to have Han and Chewie, you're going to show us them meeting, have them meet in a more interesting way than them just happening to be stuck in the same cage and them fighting and then them figuring out. Like, have that, let the movie stop and appreciate that. Because they're lifelong friends.
Yeah,
he is there. Chewie is literally there till the end.
It was a little lazy.
I didn't like the fact that they were just stuck, and I was like, why did they do it that way?
Like any other, I don't know any other word to describe it.
You could even pull from my pre-existing dog movies. You'd have a moment where like Han does Chewie a favor, somehow saves him or gets him out, or whatever, and it's just like, all right, cool, peace out, and he starts walking, and Chewie just follows him everywhere he goes, just like, get out of here, go, like have that moment, which would have been like a really like pointy moment. He realizes
like with BB-8, it's like, hey, she's like saved him, like, all right,
or
I'm with you Yeah.
And he doesn't follow. And then they randomly meet up again at some point later in the movie where it's like, oh, hey, you're the guy who saved me. Oh, hey, you're the guy who needed help with the pipe.
Something, anything. Like, but just like, all right, you freed me. Yay, we're friends for life. Yeah. Friends forever.
Did not work for me. Yeah, Chewy forever. I don't know. Okay. So there's like this through line when I was watching this movie of just like, why? And I wanted more information, but it just seemed like we were just sort of going through the motions. So I guess let's talk now a little bit about L3 and the Millennium Falcon.
Okay.
Because that was a new thing that we got.
First of all,
I mean, L3 trying to be K2SO? Because that's basically what they're trying to do all over again.
Definitely, they're trying to milk that character trope again.
They have, yeah, you're absolutely right about the character trope of the sassy robot being actually the only character who maybe is interesting. I don't know.
One technical thing, an L3 in industry terms is known as a lower third. So when you see our names pop up under the screen, that's called a lower third or an L3. So every time they said the name, I was just expecting a lower third to pop up, and like it. Minor note, but like that was just something that for me was very distracting. It was like L3, and I was like,
yeah. I mean, like,
anyway,
I understand like this is the Star Wars universe. There has to be droids, but I think with K2SO that was a unique thing, and I think that's what made it. He was the first one like that, and that's what made him special in Rogue One. But with L3, is like I think they like, all right, you're trying to go home again, and it didn't work.
Well, like Every Star Wars film, I'm going to say this right now, you heard it first here. Every Star Wars film from here on out is going to have a new droid that they're going to be able to sell toys with and, whatever else, because every film has to have a droid.
Yeah, I don't mind having a droid, but, like, don't make it be all the same sassy, hey, I'm cool, I'm sassy, I'm going to say cool things. I'm going to say, flashy punchlines. No, you can just have you could have a scared droid, a tough droid. You can do whatever you want. Like R2 is kind of a little bit sassy, even though really don't know what he's saying. He's a beep boop pop boop.
Well, it's like BB-8.
Exactly.
But I guess what Sean is trying to say, forgive me, they're recycling.
Yeah. Do something different.
Everything is just a recycled, and I guess that's not just the droid thing too. That's just
it's a little lazy.
The entire
I think we're gonna keep
universe that they're building here is just recycled.
Sorry, I was just thinking about how Lando was totally porking that droid for a second. I got totally distracted.
Yes, we need to talk about that.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah. Also, we need to talk about the fact that Lando is having sex with a droid.
Well, I mean, they sure implied it.
Oh yes,
was more than implied. It's the most explicit they've ever came to talking about the birds and the bees in a Star Wars movie. It is pretty.
And if L3 was lying about that. Well, that opens a whole other can of worms.
Oh, yeah. Well, why is the droid lying? It's like, he's totally in love with me, but I don't have any feelings for him. And it's like,
it works.
Yeah, it works.
And if you get a lying droid, the next thing you have is free will in droids. Next thing you know, you have Skynet, and look what happened there. I'm just saying. This opens up a whole new can of worms.
Why did they go there? I don't, why? Why go down that road? No one was ever thinking that.
I honestly forgot about that until you said it because I think I buried it in my consciousness because I just didn't want it to be true. Yeah. But yeah, you're totally right. They insinuated that Lando has had sex with a droid.
Yes.
And I have a lot of images in my mind right now, which I will not describe.
I think Lawrence Kasdan watched Westworld. He thought, hey, there's a good idea.
Well, let's talk about Lando. So Donald Glover, I think.
Wait! I'm not done talking about L3 though.
Okay.
We have at least one other thing to talk about really quickly, and then we'll talk about Lando.
Okay.
The one thing that I actually liked about this movie is that it was nice to see that there was a character, as poorly developed as it was, and as tropey as it was, made its way into the Millennium Falcon in a way that it's part of the ship. So, it was kind of a fun little backstory that I didn't necessarily need to know, but
this is where you and I disagree. This is where you and I disagree because, the line is a throwaway line in Empire where C-3PO was like, your ship is the most, strangest dialect or whatever. And I always just thought that was just, a funny way of, building out, just a weird detail of the Millennium Falcon because, it has an onboard computer, so, and it's clearly a piece of junk, so that's where the strange dialect comes from. But now we actually have an actual Baxter. That was I put that in the category of things I didn't want to know. I guess
that doesn't even really explain it that much. Like, what weird is it about it? Like, she's a little sassy.
Well,
it's Yuko's trying to figure out the hyperdrive, and it's just like droid rights. Like, oh god, like you have strange dialogue.
Free yourself. Why are you saying that to me?
Oh dear.
The correlation that I made. The correlation I made with the droid rights thing was a feminist angle that I took from it. And so, because it's a female droid. And so I actually was like, oh yeah, the Millennium Falcon's a feminist. I was like, yes! Like, it's like a small thing that actually doesn't matter at all. No. But made me a little bit happy. Like, I gotta be honest. I thought it was a little fun.
Again, if you're gonna do that though, you might as well like have the character last more than like 10 minutes. Because they kill her off pretty quick.
She was pretty...
Well, I mean, what other scenario where she have died? Like, I don't know.
It's just, it was such
she was just there to help him get through the castle.
I think it's an interesting, thing to explore, like a droid that's, that self-aware that it's actually fighting for droid rights, because they hinted that throughout the original trilogy a lot. Like, we don't serve your kind here and stuff, which is
she even said that.
And she said it, yeah. But, it's literally the character was, only focus, and it was just, it felt so, I don't know, one-dimensional for a droid, which is weirdly...
Well, that's
weird
the
to
other.
Say.
This goes back to the other thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
How nothing is developed.
Nothing.
Everything's sort of like a throwaway thing. That's like, here's this thing, here's that thing, here's that, and we're not going to actually make you feel anything about it. But there it is.
Well, I figured the only reason she was really in there when they first brought up was because when they brought up she has all this guidance system built in. She's going to help him with the Kessel Run.
Well, right. And so that's why I thought it was a little cool that she actually has a lot of useful information that makes its way into the Millennium Falcon that we get to see. But once again, they didn't spend quite enough time on it or developing it or making me care enough. Or it was just a small thing that I was like, hey, that's cool.
Well, I mean, it would have been nice to see her sacrifice herself for maybe for Han or for Lando. The whole droid rights thing just felt like something sassy for her to do. Well, I'm gonna rebel all these droids. Yeah, here's your restricting bolt off. Now go run off.
Here's what was a little annoying. Like I said, that to me was a parallel with the feminist movement, which I'm a part of, and I think that's great. But it felt like they were capitalizing on it in a way that was really annoying.
But it seemed like they were poking fun at it, they weren't taking it seriously.
Well, exactly. That's the other thing, too. They, A, wanted to capitalize on it, and B, were kind of making fun of it a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I thought that was annoying.
You're right. You're right.
But it also, I'm thinking about, the whole thing with, her brain going into the ship helps them navigate out of the, through the Kessel Run and stuff, It's again another the constant problem we're getting with Hollywood movies lately is that there's just so many characters and it's detracting from your already preset characters. Like Han and Chewie should have been able to navigate out of the Kessel Run, not having to have this whole character built into a computer to lead them out. It feels like most movies now have side quests like you would get in a video game, which I just find so mucks up everything.
Well, I mean,
that could be just a simpler plot and or something to explore. Maybe that's Chewie's expertise is he understands that.
But I mean, but if they're gonna have the droid in there, in Rogue One they had K2SO. He was funny, he was sassy, and then they actually helped sacrifice them to get the plans out. And he had a meaningful death.
Yeah, he was the only character that I cared about.
I felt really bad when he died.
I was like, oh man, really well developed. But L3 she had a meaningful. She didn't die meaningfully. She just died, and it's freaking let's just take her brain, put her in the Falcon. Let's get something out of her, even though she's dead. All that other stuff didn't really seem to matter.
So does Lando still have sex with the Millennium Falcon? Guys,
there was a hole somewhere in there.
I need to know.
You need to know a lot of weird things.
He uses the hydro spanners.
Nobody knows what that is. All right, so let's.
I'm just picturing the scene where R2 sticks his little.
Oh yeah, Han Solo's Lando comes in hey, get off my girl.
Okay, now we can talk about
and
Lando.
And then he's C3, hold my nuts. I'm gonna go, don't be mess with my girl.
We can talk about Lando now that I got that out of my system.
Oh yes, Lando.
We can move on to Lando.
I think Donald Glover did a great job.
I thought
he's the best cast in this whole movie.
He was great.
I agree.
I mean,
but him meeting Han, and I love that he said Han. I love that he said Han.
That's one of the few little like Easter egg bits. I was just like,
But,
okay, like, that's that.
And then he corrects them, so
yeah.
Well, he says, nah, that's fine. You can call me Han.
Yeah.
But them playing cards and him swindling him the first Lando winning and cheating, they completely forgot the fact that Han lied and said that he had a ship, and he betted a ship that he didn't have, and Lando never brought it up. And I thought as soon as Han lost, I thought that was going to be the thing that Lando was talking about in Empire.
It felt like a scene that was cut out.
Maybe, because I thought that was going to be it.
I had the exact
because
same
they never
thought.
brought it up again.
I had the same thought. I'm like, wait, why don't you care that he just lied to you about the fact that
he's supposed to have this cool new ship, and now it's yours.
I had the same
thought.
And
they never brought it up again, because I thought it was like... Because I thought at the end, when we see them again playing and he wins the Falcon, I thought Lando was going to bring up, well, where's my ship? And and I thought Han was going to say, yeah, it's in the docking bay over there.
Yeah.
I go over there and get it. And he goes in there, and then it's gone, and there's nothing there.
Shenanigans.
And then that would have made more sense than how the movie actually showed us what happened.
You scruffy nerf herder. Like...
But I mean, besides
Best
that...
insult ever.
Like, the capes worked, his flashiness... He's like, you know what, I'll do this for 40%. They were like, no, you're doing it for 25%. All right, I'll do it for 25%. All his dialogue with Beckett and Han and all of them, I think he just did he was great.
But this is another thing that just really, once again, ties back into my whole thing about this movie. Why is Lando?
Well, I mean, he has to be there. He has to be there.
I know that.
Yeah.
But my point is, like, I want to know just a little bit more about him, or I want to see him interact with Han in a way that is, like you were saying, like, just a little bit more, like, leading up into, like, Empire.
Yeah.
Like, just something that's just a little bit more like, you asshole.
You know,
I hate you.
You know what would have been really interesting? Is if Han met Lando on whatever, while they were still in the... Han was still in the Empire.
Yeah.
And he just stumbled upon Lando.
Yes.
And then Beckett took them both under his wing and made them both
That would have been
smugglers.
great.
And
You're
both
right.
like scoundrel types.
You're right.
And then Lando wins the Falcon, and then Han cheats him out of it.
Yes.
And that would have been more interesting because...
Absolutely.
Well, Lando has better luck than Han, like constantly, which is hilarious.
He makes his own luck.
But I want to see why Lando in Empire would have made the decision that he made. Because obviously we know he's a good guy, but when pushed in a corner, he's gonna be like, "Hey, I'm gonna do what's best for me." I want to see that guy, and I didn't see him in this.
This is exactly my point. I want so much to get to, like, fully dive into these, let's just say 3 characters.
Yeah.
Han, Chewie, and Lando. Like, just these 3 characters. It's all I care about, and that's all I really wanted to dive into and understand more about them.
That was the first thing out of my mouth after watching it.
And
was
see them really struggle, see them really fight with each other, or...
And betray each other.
Yeah, betray each other. Like, and then come back together or not.
You need three main characters to fully flesh out and develop. You need the 4th character needs to be a strong villain that has, like, then they have to somehow have some kind of, like, battle with said villain.
Strong villain.
Strong villains.
Y'all know me.
Yeah.
Y'all know me. That's my whole thing.
And that's why,
to be honest, Beckett should have been the villain. I mean, he kind of was at the end, but he should have been manipulating the 2 of them against each other.
Which, like,
absolutely.
you could see coming.
And that's how.
So long.
And then I think that's what it should have been, but they didn't do it that way.
Any character that says trust nobody, they're going to betray you at the end of the movie. So if anybody in real life to you says don't trust anybody, you should be watching your back, because that dude's going to totally betray you.
Like, because even though he's saying these things, and these are kind of, for lack of a better word, tropes that Han takes forward, I didn't necessarily feel that Han took them on naturally and gradually. It just seems like the stuff he was saying, and that Han...
Yes.
I guess, like, we know, that he knows he's that kind of guy.
Here's the thing, we
yes. for they didn't spend enough time together for me to feel like, he taught him that.
Yeah.
Yep,
no,
absolutely.
For a good example how this is done well with a Harrison Ford character, look no further than the opening, 16 minutes of The Last Crusade. Because we have Indiana Jones, he's already, obsessed with finding artifacts, and then all the tropes happen in one adventure, and it's not necessarily the most I don't know, like completely life changing. It's just he knows that's how he gets the whip. That's how he gets the scar on his chin. That's how he gets his fear of snakes. He falls into a snake pit. Like all these things just coincidentally happen in one adventure, and it's such an efficient, simple story to tell, and it didn't need to be a full movie. It was a nice like opening act.
Yeah,
done. Like got it. All right, cool. Mm-hmm. That's efficient storytelling. Simple and flesh out one character, and then there you go. And this was... How many planets did they even go to in this?
I mean...
we start in Corellia, and then there's Kessel, the spice mines of Kessel.
Yeah, and then the movie, the one with the Empire with... I can't remember the name of it.
There's a snow planet, and there's a desert.
I mean, let's talk about that train scene, because I was having problems with the movie, and Alex will tell you I was getting really annoyed until the train scene.
Well, have you seen Firefly?
No.
Episode 2, the train job. It's the exact plot of the second episode of Firefly.
Well, I like that because
beat for beat.
That got me back on board. The way they executed that, I was like, all right, okay. They were kind of losing me, and I'm back on board. The train scene, the way they executed it was flawless.
Well, let me jump on board with that really quick.
Yeah.
It's actually really nice to see a Star Wars film that is not a space battle.
Yes, every 5 seconds.
So I think, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying about the production design being so good. I actually, we can talk about that now if you want. Like, I actually love the minimal CGI creatures.
Yeah, and then you were worried about that.
I was worried about that. I'm always worried about that. And I like Chewie was great. Chewie was great because he wasn't made out of a computer, and we can always tell.
And all the monsters that they had, like the monster they had at the beginning was real.
They're all puppets.
And also, like you got them on like a snowy, like mountainous planet. Like those were like real mountains. Like as far as I can tell, if that either that or it's the greatest green screen I've ever seen in my life. But like that looked real. Because they looked cold in certain shots,
and they did a great job with the technology too.
Yeah,
it looked like late 70s. Like everything looked great.
And that's the thing we were talking about in the trailers is that the thing I was looking forward to with these Star Wars story movies is that they can play with it a little bit. They don't have to be stuck in space all the time with space battle. They can do whatever they want as long as it looks like Star Wars. They can have that train scene. They can do whatever they want, and I love the way it looked.
Yes.
Because they don't have to be pigeonholed into the episode movies. That's why I was looking forward to it in the sense where I can see things that I normally probably wouldn't see in the episode movies.
Yeah.
And we did see a little bit. Like, that train scene was great.
Mm-hmm.
I will watch it again if I ever do watch it. I will watch it. I'm not going to lie. I will look forward to the train scene.
I'm raising my hand for a second here. I thought
Alex.
it was... Thank you for calling on me.
Alex.
Thanks. Too late. I actually really liked, like you said, the action of that scene, but this is another situation where I'm thinking in the back of my head, why do I care? Why do I care? What is it about this that I care about? And I couldn't fully grasp, and I'm trying to figure out what Thandie Newton's character
I forgot she was in it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, she's on the poster, like, she's supposed to be...
She is on the poster, isn't she?
And, but here's... Oh my god, I have so many thoughts about this, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't fully understand the purpose of basically any big set piece. That being one of them. And I really wanted to care about Thandie, and I don't even know her character's name, sorry.
Well, I thought she was going to be... I thought all of Beckett's crew was there to teach Han, like, hey, even though we're a team,
actually.
I really don't care about you. I'm here about the coaxium. That's what it was called, right?
Coaxium. Yeah.
That's all I care about. I care about getting the job done. If you guys die, even though you're my girl, I just care about getting paid. And I think that's what I thought his crew was there for, to just be fodder.
That would have actually made sense if they would have crafted this moment, like we were saying before, this moment of Han being like, "Oh shoot,
don't you care about people?"
And
it's like, no, we're getting paid.
Let's get the shit and get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, okay.
I mean, that actually would have been a really.
I'll write that in my little book. Don't care about your crew.
And my book is my hand.
Also, shoot first. P.S.
Yeah. So
no, but I actually would have really.
Lost the light.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's just the sun setting on Han Solo.
That's one of the dual.
Dual suns.
Yeah. We're shooting this on Tatooine.
So I wish, right?
I wish.
I don't. That's a shit planet.
Well, and then the sand gets everywhere. It's coarse.
It's coarse and
It is
rough.
kind of
It
like
gets everywhere.
It's like LA a little bit actually. So maybe we are on Tatooine. Honestly, the best.
Rough track. Sorry.
But no, I really would have liked to see a moment of understanding as to. And here's the other thing too. Like we talk about these villains. Like I wish Beckett would have been one or the other. You know, like is he or both? But he kind of was
like. I wanted to be like him more driving the story and like.
But
slowly corrupting him.
Well, right, but Thandie's death would have been a great catalyst for his journey into darkness. And there goes our next son. It would have been a great catalyst into
can't make this stuff up.
Into darkness.
We're entering the dark side.
And so, you know, I mean, there was just so many things that just didn't fully come together. You know, I wanted to sit there and have a quilt, but instead I just sort of had like a I don't know, what's a shitty quilt? What?
Blanket.
Oh,
a wet blanket.
A wet blanket. That's good.
Okay, so let's talk about the Kessel Run. So we've been hearing about this thing forever. Even for episode 1. Oh, this is the ship that did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs? Like, yep, that's it. A piece of junk. So they have to do the run, and they put L3's mind in the computer, and then they go the shortcut that saves them time. And basically, when they start talking about it, basically Han lies about doing it in 12 seconds. He rounds up. So basically, they did it in 13 seconds, and he rounded down, and they did it in 12.
Can I say something?
So he lied.
I don't care.
No, I'm just saying, but that's something that we know about the Falcon. No, and it's kind of like, that's the ship that did it?
That's my point.
And even it's real doing it in 12 seconds, it didn't happen.
My point is, whatever they were trying to build, this backstory of like, oh, here's how he did the Kessel Run. It just, I don't care. I don't care. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Neither was I.
It wasn't something that I really actually wanted to see. So, like, I don't...
Because even when Ray says, oh, did in 14, and Han's like, no, 12. Like, he continued lying. Like that just seems like you're kind of diminishing the value of the Falcon to me in a sense that, because that was one of the things that we were told that was special about the ship. And even now you're showing us what really happened, and it wasn't what we originally thought. And that kind of cheapens it a little bit for me.
Yeah, and so, you know, I
don't know why they did that.
I agree what you're saying, but also this is another one of those things where this is just something we took for granted about this ship. It's like, oh wow, this is a fast ship. I get it. Okay. Why did we spend an entire quarter of a movie addressing this fact that I get it, it's fast. Like, I don't need to see it. Like, I don't really... And also, like, that was the part of the movie that I was, like, asleep for. Could have been the wine. But also... like,
I was pretty mentally checked out.
There was there was kind of like a giant, like, space kraken, which was cool. But
why?
But why is...
How is it alive?
Why is space kraken... Why?
It was there only to adjust in the escape pod so we can have the Falcon look like it was supposed to look.
Which... Again, I guess they're throwing away like one of the fan lores, which like the Millennium Falcon is actually technically a towing ship, and like the reason for that gap is to like dock and then push other ships. And
I think that was more like in Legends, and they kind of like, well, no, there was an escape pod,
and he just,
which I mean is fine if that's like whatever. I was curious about like when we saw the trailer first, I was like, whoa, why does the Falcon look like that? And we're like, oh, well, something was in that middle there, and now we know it was an escape pod.
I mean,
but a little bit about the Falcon. So after the Kessel Run, we can see how wrecked it was, and then obviously Lando fixed it back up, and then Han won it again, and they started flying off to Tatooine. I'm curious why they didn't take the opportunity to address how Han said he made special modifications on the ship. Because the way we left the Falcon is not the way we see it again in A New Hope. The cockpit does not look the same. You know, like the laser cannon. Why couldn't they set it up where after Han won it back, that's when the modifications were done, and they could have been a short explanation, but like, now the ship looks kind of the way I want it to look, because it doesn't look that way when we left it.
I will tell you why. There's going to be a sequel.
No, I don't.
There's definitely going to be a sequel.
I
don't think
so.
They intended for a sequel the same way. Again, the Super Mario Brothers movie intended for a sequel.
Yes,
and
look at the way this film
happened.
ended. It's not over.
It's
not over.
Here's my thought. I mean, on a normal, regular franchise movie, yes, I think they're planning for a sequel. With Star Wars, I think they're saying, "Hey, check out our other stuff. We got comic books and we got Clone Wars and Rebels. Like, check out that other stuff." Because we know, if you've been watching Rebels and Clone Wars, you know when we saw Darth Maul, that's not the first time they knew he came. Like, you already knew that.
Well, this is a good way to segue into the Hollywood system. So this movie's projected to actually lose money, which is
It had a really embarrassing opening weekend.
Very embarrassing. Like, when I went there like Saturday night, like opening, like maybe 75% of the theater was filled. Like, that was the most pathetic like opening I've ever seen.
Pretty
and
unusual for a Star Wars film.
Well, for a Star Wars movie,
especially a Star Wars movie, yeah.
It's projected to do. Well, they were projecting before it opened. It would do 100 to 150 for the first 3 days. Now it's looking like it's going to do like 80 something for the first 3 days, and maybe close to 100 for the whole Memorial Day weekend. Which is like, if you would have said that when they first announced Solo, like, it'll only do 100 in 4 days. Get out of here! No, you know, but considering all the production problems they had, and then now actually seeing the film, it's like, oof.
Yeah, this is a Justice League level embarrassment for.
But for Disney, I dislike Justice League more than I disliked Solo. But
I did
maybe
too.
That's just
But I just think it's because I think the expectations going in.
But there's one last thing we need to talk. I feel like we're beating a dead horse here with the fact that we wanted to know some of these things, but they didn't give it to us in the way that we wanted. Let's talk about Darth Maul. And let's talk about we touched on this. Let's talk about where they're gonna go from here, because it sounds like they're setting up a Boba Fett movie. There's been talks about that. There's been like little Easter eggs in the film.
There's Mandalorian armor in Vision's office.
Yeah, there's a lot of little hints to
and
New Hope and
we see
the original trilogy.
We see Emilia Clarke. We see Kira. Flying off into the space. That's what they do, right? They fly off into the... Yeah, and that's why I'm saying they set it up for a sequel, or at least setting it up for, this story is not done. Well, whether or not it's the Boba Fett movie, or it's the Ben...
It's going to be the Obi-Wan Kenobi, yeah.
Okay. Ben Kenobi. Yeah.
So we're spoiling Solo, so I'm not going to spoil what's happening in Rebels, because I haven't even watched Rebels, but I know what happens there. So all I'll say is Darth Maul is in Rebels. That's all I'm going to say. So we know, if you've watched Rebels, you know what happens to him. I'm not going to say what happens here. So we know what happens with Maul. I'm not sure with Kira
right.
what happens to her. I haven't watched Rebels. I actually want to watch it now because of this movie. But I don't think they're going to... I think they're just trying to show you, us, the audience, that all this stuff is one universe. And I don't think necessarily there is going to be a sequel that will directly tie into this. Because what else are you really going to show us? We see Han and Chewie going to Tatooine, going to meet...
We're going to have Kira, a Star Wars
Jabba the Hutt. What else do I need to know before... I know what happens. He starts smuggling for him, and he starts owing Jabba money. I already know that. So what else do I really need to show me before Episode 4 starts? There's really nothing there. You mined everything already.
You're right. So why did we get this story?
I think just to show that it ties into everything else.
But we already knew that. You're just saying.
I know.
I already know that it ties in.
But now we get a little bit more backstory that we didn't want, but now we have.
But I didn't get any more backstory outside of the fact that Darth Maul has...
and even for some, but that wasn't even.
But she wasn't even a part of the canon universe, so it's like.
Well, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't watched the Clone Wars series that much. I haven't watched Rebels.
So. I think she's a new character.
I'm not 100% sure, guys. If you know, write in the comments below. But I know Maul was not a surprise that he was alive. To me, in the audience we were watching, it was for some people. For others, they already knew that because they're keeping up with the canon.
It's not necessarily knowing that he's alive or not alive. It's a matter of whether or not we care. And
I don't, but because I already know what happens to him, so that doesn't mean anything for me. I'm just speaking for myself.
Right. So anyway, okay. I feel like we've gone through everything, and I feel like I'm just like really getting worked up about this, and so I feel like maybe it's time to wrap up. Right. If there's anything else we need to talk about, we can talk about it below in the comments, you guys.
So out of 10 Han shot first, what would you give this?
10 shots first. Guys, I don't know. Like, I don't think this was a good movie. As much as I love this universe, and I didn't think it was as bad as Rogue One.
I'll disagree with that.
No, I didn't think it was
I'm with you on that, Alex.
Rogue One was worse. I gotta give it maybe a...
It has the opposite. I will say that the third act of Rogue One, actually, like, I started like being more engaged with what was happening, whereas with this one it was the opposite. I fell asleep.
Like, the last 25 minutes of Rogue One are what we actually care about.
Yeah.
Anyway, so out of how many Hans that have shot first, I'm gonna give this like a 5.5.
Okay.
Oof. I'm gonna lowball. I'm gonna give 4 vials of coaxium. So like I'm giving 1 to the production design, I'm giving 1 to John Powell's score because he did a pretty respectable job recreating John Williams' sound.
Casting maybe was
casting I'll give pretty good, especially to Don Glover. Like he gets a full vial of coaxium.
It's a full vial.
Yeah, and I as much as poorly executed as this was, I do have to give some props to Ron Howard for taking on a last-minute project from the ground up. Like, I do have a little bit of respect for saying yes to that, because that is intimidating for anybody. So
I would say yes to that. Hey,
well, yeah.
Y'all want to call me and be like, hey, would you take on this Star Wars project last minute? I would be like, yes.
And then that night, you're like, oh god, what have I done?
Because I have to shoot over 50% of this movie to get credit for it, and then they're gonna have to give me that. Like, oh my god.
I'll take what I can get. Thanks. Okay, that'd be fine.
God. So okay, so four vials of coaxium.
I'm 5.5. Yeah, that's a little generous, but Sean.
I kind of agree with what you're saying. The casting was, especially with Donald Glover, I think he knocked it out of the park. I wouldn't mind seeing him not in his own Lando movie, him popping up in another Star Wars story movie as Lando. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
I think
so in the Boba Fett movie, he like pulls open a curtain, he's there like having sex with a robot. Like, get out of here!
I'm hoping the Boba Fett movie happens after Episode 6. Him seeing him getting out of the Starlight Pit, and then just him and some bounty hunters doing some crazy mission thing, like Suicide Squad style. I hope that's what it ends up being. Even though I don't want to see that, I'm hoping if they do it, that's what it ends up being.
Just a
but
horde of bounty
considering,
hunters.
like, going in, I was like, you know what? I just want to see how Han met Chewie. I want to see the Kessel Run, and I want to see how Han and Lando, I want to see what that line meant. And I don't think they really nailed any of those things for me.
If they had just stuck to a simple plot and done something like The Sting, but with Han, Chewie, and Lando,
it should have been a heist
would have
movie
been
with
exactly.
Han, Chewie, and Lando.
They kind of portrayed it that way in the like, hey, we're putting the crew together, and
did not work.
So
stop Hollywood, stop using that line. Like, it's in every trailer. We're putting a crew together. It's no kidding.
Well, if it's a heist movie, why not? So with that being said, I hate that line. I was really disappointed with this movie. I thought I liked all the ones that I've liked. Rogue One, I've liked The Force Awakens, I've liked The Last Jedi. This for me is by far the worst Star Wars movie since Episode 2. So because Episode 3 is rewatching it a couple of times, I can deal with it.
Fair.
Episode 2 is the one, and 1 are the ones that I just are hard to sit through. So this watching it again is going to be hard to sit through past the train scene for me. So I'm going to give it a 5.
Oh my god! Wait, I like this movie more than you guys. Okay, I need to reevaluate.
Sorry, I want to give it more, but I can't. I really didn't get that much.
That's fair.
Out of it.
I think most of mine.
But I will watch it again.
Most of mine comes from the production design and the wine. So thank you for joining us for so long. I appreciate you guys sticking it out to the end. If you are fans, which it seems like you are, if you've watched this far, please comment below if you feel like we've missed anything or if you have anything to say, because I am not the Star Wars expert. It is something I care about. I also care about films in general. But yes, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank Robert again for being our lovely guest and giving us his expertise. And great, you finished that. Yeah, I have some work to do yet.
Drinking blue milk.
Thank you. Blue milk, yeah, great.
No blue milk in this one.
Thank you, Sean, again for
now I
being
know where
part
it comes
of this
from.
journey for all of us, and we'll see you next time here on Pop Culture Universe. Thank you for joining us.
Droid rights.
Thanks, guys. Bye.